Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Corey, better known as the Seaman, and I want to welcome you to another edition of the Seaman's Cinema Sit-Down. Oh, baby, I've been waiting for this movie for a long time, like a super long time, like 14 years long, and man, was it so worth the wait. Oh, this follow-up is spectacular. It's super. I hope that you know and are picking up what I'm putting down. If you don't, I'm a little disappointed in you, but I'm not going to leave you hanging. You know the drill. Pull up a chair, take a seat. Today, I am diving in, spoiler-free, on Incredibles 2. Brad Bird, man, what a job. Just being able to take us back 14 years ago to a place that we have all missed, and not only did you bring us back there, but you gave us something I think that was better than any of us were expecting. Fantastic job. But before I can go and get all goo-goo gaga in this film, and yes, baby pun totally intended, because Jack, wow, we'll get to him. We got some business to take care of. For those unfamiliar with The Incredibles 2, let me fill you in. We're picking up right where we left off. I mean, literally right where we left off. When we last saw our incredible family, the Underminer was emerging out of the ground, and that's exactly where we pick up. Now, it doesn't pick up exactly like the frame that we left off on, and I really like the introduction into the story and how we get to that moment. Very clever move by Brad Bird to bring back a nice little a character surprise for us. But from there, you know, they show up, they save the day, and then police show up. Supers are still illegal, and we do have a character by the name of Winston Dever, voiced by Bob Odenkirk, who is a huge supporter of supers. So much so that he wants to get them legalized again so that they can be back in the forefront. With the help of his sister, Evelyn, played by Catherine Keener, they have developed a humongous tech company that gives Winston a very prominent spot to sell. And he oozes in that. Bob Odenkirk just nails that stuff. What we come to find out is he reaches out to Frozone, Mr. Incredible, and Elastigirl to be his three pillars, the faces of this movement to bring supers back. But he can only use one to go save the day and really get good publicity for the supers, and he chooses Elastigirl. And that's where I'll leave it. That's where we're at, man. And the movie kind of goes from there, and it goes to a lot of fun, interesting places. But I can't get into all the good stuff without starting at the bad, because you know how I roll. Off with the bad, end with the good, so you have a good taste in your mouth at the end of the movie. And into the bad we will dive. Now, for me, these things aren't necessarily personally major detriments to the movie, but these are definitely things that I think people could pick apart about the movie if they wanted to. Like, first off, it's a fairly average, simple storyline. There's nothing too unbelievably clever or intelligent or surprising with the script. If anything, it's more of a throwback to like the way superhero movies used to be, where you're going in for a fun popcorn flick. It's not trying to do like these multiple layered things. And you know, some people will pick apart that. Look, for me, sometimes simple is easy. And what Brad Bird is really doing here is developing and delivering just unbelievable character moments that amplify the simple story. The story does its job. It drives us through to the end, and the character moments that we get to live in really elevate everything around it. Now, the one thing I will say about the script is it's rather predictable. Now, I did the unconventional thing and stopped watching trailers after the first one dropped. I did the same thing with Avengers Infinity War, and I was massively rewarded with no spoilers. For a movie, that was nothing but spoilers. Now, this movie's not nothing but spoilers, but again, I was rewarded for not watching more than just one trailer, because I didn't really get too much spoiled for me. And then, of course, I went back and I watched the trailers to see how much got spoiled. And man, it does. It gives a lot away. You can probably piece the movie together from the trailers, which is unfortunate. It's the thing about movies in general that I just can't stand. Give me one trailer that hooks me, and then leave me the heck alone, man, because I want to be surprised by things that happen in the movie. And we do get a couple moments that are not in the trailers that really pop, even more so than most of the things. So there's definitely some treats in there for you folks that have seen all the trailers. But you can figure out the movie pretty easily from that, and within 25 minutes, you know exactly where this film is going to go. But that being said, it's almost even more impressive that I still love this movie so much and had such a great time with it. And so did the audience. The theater I was in was packed, and everybody was having a good time. You didn't have one person walk out of that theater upset. Now, last couple things to pull out, though, from the bad. Dash is a little underserved. We're kind of missing him. Most of his stuff is actually in the trailers, which is disappointing. But he really did kind of steal the shine from the other two kids in the first one. So, in almost like a comeback, Violet and Jack really do pop a lot more. And that's not a bad thing. But disappointing for Dash to not be as prominent. But where he is, he gets laughs, and you know, it's just always good to see the whole family together. But yes, a little underserved compared to the others. There's also, you know, within the predictability of the story, even within the universe, it seems kind of fishy with how easily things are going. And I don't think this is something that they were trying to do, but it does kind of come off this way in the build-up to our villain. As that story, part of the story is building, things that are going on with Elastigirl are like so perfect, and like everything is working exactly how it's supposed to the point where like at some point she probably should have said, "This is too good to be true," because it feels like this is a too good to be true moment. And now, granted, the way she figures it all out works wonderfully in the movie. It comes more off of clues, and like I said, I don't think this is what they're going for with the character, which is a little disappointing because I don't want to have anything bad to say about Elastigirl because she's amazing. But it does make her seem a little naive, that everything is working so well that she never questions it. And lastly, for me, there's a really interesting aspect to this movie that Winston brings supers from around the world to sign a document to legalize them. And we get to see all different kinds of supers from all different regions of the world and cultures, and it's wonderful to see. Unfortunately, that's really where it stops. They're kind of just background, almost like just background set pieces, because most of them don't have any speaking terms. There are 3 that pop and stand out and are utilized a little more, and it would have been nice to, and one more than any of them, Void, who's voiced by Sophia Bush, is really, of the 3, it's her, Crush Howler, and Helatrix. Those 3 kind of are out front, and Helatrix is kind of like a Euro boy. Crushhauser is maybe African. He's black, and he has an accent. I couldn't pick up on what it really was though. But because they're not really in it too much, they both maybe have like one line. And then Void is really front and center, and you know, she's a white character in a mostly white character movie. It just would have been nice to maybe, you know, make her Hispanic or a different culture. You could have just utilized that character exactly the same as it works out, in a way that could have brought some more diversity front-facing, you know, the front part of the movie. Again, not detrimental, but just a missed opportunity. But that's it, man. I don't want to get into too much more on the bad side, because there really isn't too much bad with this movie. You know, there's just so much good. And it starts, like I said, with Brad Bird being able to recapture what he had 14 years ago and essentially catch lightning in a bottle twice. I mean, you feel exactly the way you felt 14 years ago. You just immediately are brought right back to that place, and it's so impressive to not only bring us back right where we left off, but deliver a movie that's on par with 1. I'm not going to say it's better than 1, you know, because I'm a sucker for originals that are like really, really stand out good. And I'm a sucker that if the first one really set the bar high, that's usually going to be my favorite. That's the case here, but this one, right on par, man. It's right up there with it, and totally, you know, in the same playing field, and I love that. It's super impressive to see. You know, I love that he drops us stuff right away that are kind of stingers to the end of the first one. The boy that Violet meets, Tony, pops back up, and we get to have, that's a really nice device utilized for Violet's story. The Underminer, who shows up at the end of The Incredibles, is right where we're starting. We get to see that battle take place. So I love that he brings us back and gives us those things that were kind of like end movie stingers that then become devices that are utilized really well for awesome stuff, whether it's developing the character or just providing us with a great opening action scene. And that's exactly what we get with the Underminer scene. Brilliant action. We'll get there in a little bit. And I also love the fact that he took the concept of Jack having multiple powers, right? We saw him flame on, which, by the way, the look of the flame on in this movie, so much better than the first one. We see him go like turning completely into steel, and we see him turn into the little monster. Now, we don't get the steel again in the movie, mild spoiler, but we do get to see the little creature that he becomes. That pops back up, and a whole bunch of other superpowers. So I love that he used that, like, boom, we'll throw that in there, like, oh, Jack's got all these powers, and then it utilizes and is used really, really well in the movie. So tons of credit to Brad Bird from that standpoint of the writing. He does a really good job of bringing us back to where we started. Now, on top of that, and on top of all the great character moment writing that we have in the script, the animation in this movie is beyond phenomenal. Yes, I know, see, man, it's Pixar. Yeah, well, this is some of the best Pixar stuff I've ever seen from an animation style. Look-wise, there are so many things that look realistic, especially in the background. Now, that's not super surprising. We're seeing that a lot in the video game world with the cinematics that they're able to create. And we've seen that in a lot of these digitalized animated movies. Very much the Spider-Verse, right? There's shots from the Coming to the Spider-Verse movie that Sony's doing, or Into the Spider-Verse, that look like actual streets. And we get that with the background, but then the characters themselves, they look the way they're supposed to. Like, it's not like they changed or became more realistic. They look like our characters. But the things that the animation does with the characters, the little subtle nuances to movements and body language and posture, is just so far and away better than what I've ever seen before. Really pops with Evelyn Dever's character, where, like, just the way she sits sometimes and the way that she moves, stuff I haven't seen before, and it's so smooth and so clean and so realistic. The animation, it just pops. Now, even on top of that, it really takes advantage of the superhero skill sets that we have. Frozone pops wonderfully. Elastigirl, who we'll get to, is amazing. It's no shock that she is Winston's choice to be the front and center super, because phenomenal visually with what you can do with Elastigirl and her power. So creative, so inventive, and they did so much more than even I would have thought of. Look, Marvel, you're in the same parent company. Kevin Feige, I'm talking to you, man. If you ever get your hands on the Fantastic Four, take notes from Incredibles 2. Reed Richards better be doing some cool stuff like Elastigirl, because holy cow. And it really, really solidifies, though, too, it would be tough. The movie budget would have to be huge to pull off what they're able to do with Elastigirl in animation in a live-action movie. So it's just, they've really utilized the super powers well, and it all visually looks unbelievable. And then there is a action fight sequence between Elastigirl and our villain, Screenslaver, who has the ability to take over any screen in the world and make it do whatever he wants. And they have this awesome fight sequence that's just beyond stunning, man. There's a bunch of screens in the room that they're in, so it creates kind of like these flashes and different things that just make the visuals pop in a different way. Elastigirl looks amazing in the whole sequence. Screenslaver has a weapon that he's able to use. Brilliant. The way that it can kind of like disable some of Elastigirl's powers, and the way that looks is amazing. And the actual weapon that he uses, the color is red, and in this shot it pops in a way that's just so freaking cool. I can't say enough good things about the animation in this movie, because it's beyond phenomenal. Now, as I just mentioned, Elastigirl, oh my god, is she beyond phenomenal. That's actually what I wrote in my notes, beyond phenomenal, because she is. Holy cow, man, you really... this movie could have been total garbage except for Elastigirl, and people would have walked out of this movie going, oh man, that was awesome. That's how big she pops, man. The way in which she uses her powers is incredible. We get to see that she has a motorcycle in the trailers, and that's one thing that they don't spoil. What she is able to do with this motorcycle, so freaking cool, man. Just some of I can't spoil anything, but it's amazing. When you get there, it's phenomenal. Look out for that. And look, the majority of this movie is wow, just in general, right? And like I said, it makes perfect sense that she's the hero, because what you could do with her, so much more interesting and creative than what you could probably do with any of the other characters. And I love how concerned she is at the beginning, right? When they kind of tease this role reversal, and it's like, oh, you're going to be the super, Mr. Incredible, Bob will stay home with the kids. She's super nervous about that at the beginning. And I love that once, you know, Bob kind of reassures her, like, no, I got this. Go, you go. She relishes what she's doing. They have a phone conversation where it's like, how was your day? This is what my day was. And it's like so over the top, and I love seeing Elastigirl have so much fun in doing the superhero work and getting to be like the celebrity version of the superhero, right? Like the famous one. Like to see her in the forefront is just a ton of fun. And Holly Hunter, voice work wise, is having a ton of fun with the character. She's excellent. And everything they do with Elastigirl is amazing. Now, I mentioned role reversals, and that is actually something that's really, really utilized and executed well in this movie. It's really quite brilliant. The concept of switching, you know, Mr. Incredible and Elastigirl, and having them kind of flip-flop roles. It's something that could have played off wrong or come off in a way where, like, why are we putting women down, or why are we putting guys down and elevating the other sex? And none of that happens. All of Bob's reactions, they're not sexist. They're just normal to the fact that it's like, yeah, okay, he does have like a macho moment where it's like, oh man, you need something big done, you need a big guy to do it. Okay, yeah, I get that. But he understands that the best way for him to be a super again, like out in public, is for Elastigirl to succeed, and so he supports her. But he supports her from the side of, well, yeah, it's my wife, so I've got to support her, but supports her in the way of which, like, this is how I get to be me again. And he is rightfully, you know, upset that it's not him. He's jealous, and it's totally natural jealousy. And then it's even flip-flopped. On the other side, like, you know, Elastigirl makes you feel like, you know, Helen doesn't necessarily believe that Bob can do this. And that in itself becomes a motivating factor for Bob to be an incredible dad. But it flips it to the other side too, where it's like she's worried that he can't do her job. And it's just really cool. It worked out so well. I really think that's one of the things Brad Bird really executed well in this movie. The concept of role reversals. And the way that he uses them past just Helen and Bob. It's used, you know, in a couple other spots, and it all works really, really well. Now, as I said, Bob, Mr. Incredible, phenomenal! Everybody in this movie is phenomenal, but Craig T. Nelson, what a standout from voice work, because Mr. Incredible gets the most emotional side of the story. He goes through the biggest emotional roller coaster, having to learn to be dad in the moment. And as I said, the realization that he has where he finally gets past being upset to, what am I, like a substitute dad? No. I need to be incredible in anything I do, and that includes being a father. And man, what an awesome way to see Mr. Incredible, right? Getting to see him be dad in the movie, see him break and mess up things and then try to fix them is wonderful. And he does. He goes through this emotional roller coaster where, you know, he's like got no sleep. Then he's kind of crazy. He's happy. He's sad. And Greg T. Nelson's nuances in going all over the place from an emotional standpoint really, really make him pop more than anyone else in the voice work department. And absolutely brilliant. On top of that, I mean, you know, you get to have a ton of fun with, you know, Mr. Incredible. You know, when he realizes that Jack Jack has powers, how you utilize Jack Jack, the way he kind of has to take Jack Jack and drop him off with one of our other real favorite characters, Edna Mode, is great. And those two scenes, kind of forefront in the trailers, those two scenes are fantastic in the movie. I love his interactions with her, and I love Edna's interactions with the baby. Oh my gosh, man. Edna Mode is fantastic in this film. I'm not even going to say anything more than that. She's absolutely fabulous, as you would expect her to be. And I won't say any more because you really want to enjoy what little you have left to enjoy that wasn't teased away in the trailers. But she's great. And it, again, adds just everything to what's going on with Mr. Incredible's character. I love him. And what Greg T. Nelson does. Now, Frozone. Good God, man. Thank you for giving Samuel L. Jackson more to do in this movie. Oh, gosh, man. So much fun watching him as Frozone. One, like I said, the animated movements really capture Samuel. It feels like you're watching Samuel L. Jackson on screen. It's wild. But I love his relationship with the Pars. You really get the sense that he is their best friend, and that family like you get that stuff, which is awesome. But the thing that's the real big win for Frozone is we get to see him in action not once, but twice, and in big, bad ways. His superpowers set, we get to see him do things that we haven't seen before, and it all pops, and it's awesome. I love getting to spend more time with Frozone. Wish we could spend even more. Shoot, give Sam L. Jackson his own darn movie, man. He is so fun. I just love it, and I love that, like, you know, he kind of has to, like, try to babysit the kids at one point, and that's really fun. When he starts to realize what's going on with Jack, like, everything that he's doing is just great. Every time he's on screen, big win for Sam L. Jackson and this movie. Now, speaking of Jack, he might be my favorite character after Elastigirl in this movie. Wow, man. One, he moves, and he sounds, and he acts just like a baby. It was rumored that the animators went to painstaking lengths to look at real babies to try to capture it correctly. Well, guess what? It paid off, because it nailed it. And I love the way they utilize all of his different powers. Just so cool the things they're able to do with him, and things that he does, and the way the family reacts to learning about the things he does are all awesome. And he gets one standout superhero sequence that's teased a little bit in the trailers. You see him outside with a raccoon. That scene is phenomenal. I can't say the word phenomenal enough with this movie. It's so much fun. You know, the raccoon is actually a really good counter to Jack to give him kind of like a fun fight scene. And it was awesome, right? It's like, here's this baby going through all these powers. How do we utilize him the way we can utilize all the other kids if he's just a baby? Well, they figured it out, and it's so much fun. He provides almost all of the laughs in the movie. An absolute pleasure every time Jack's on screen. And I love the fact that Jack being involved more in the movie just brings up a lot of different things for all of our characters to have to deal with. You know, in the sense of, like, all having to be babysitters. You know, Violet and Dash are constantly being left with Jack, and they both want to be front and center because they got a taste of being a superhero in the first one, and they want more of it. You know, they don't realize that, like, yeah, we're kids. So Jack's amazing. Like I said, his sequences with Edna Mode and what she's able to give him suit-wise is phenomenal, and everything with Edna, like I said, is fabulous. Now, Violet, I love that Violet really gets a chance to shine in multiple ways in this movie. You know, she really didn't pop until the end of the first Incredibles. Well, she gets to be front and center. She has a couple big saves in the movie. She has a really, really funny scene during the exchanging of Jack, and that works really well. She also has a really big emotional story, just as a kid, being in high school. You know, like I said, we bring Tony back, and Tony is used in a way that allows for things to happen to Violet that, as a high school girl, make a ton of sense and give her some nice emotional play. You know, at one point, also teased in the trailer, you hear you know, Dash go, is Violet going, is she going through adolescence? You know, like, it works just so well, and I like getting to see that. Plus, it allows a lot of growth and building in the relationship she has with Bob. And I love what goes on there, how he ruins things that make her mad, to how he tries to fix it and she can understand, to the full realization that she comes to by the end of the movie, that she is the big sister and she kind of takes ownership in that, and that's so cool. Her character is maybe one of the most well-rounded in the whole movie, and it was really nice to see Violet get some time to shine, and she really does, man. Even as a super in those moments, she gets to have a lot of fun with that character, and I love it. Also, the Devers, as we mentioned, Winston and Evelyn, all just two fantastic jobs in the voice department here. Bob Odenkirk is amazing. His voice work is great. I love what his character is. I love how over the top his character plays and how confident it is. That makes you think some things that maybe or maybe not true. And that they play with that really well. Same with Catherine Keener as Evelyn. Her voice work is beyond fantastic. She's really, really good. She has a wonderfully nuanced command to what she does voice-wise. And like I said, the movements of Evelyn really pop, especially from a nuanced kind of way. So I really enjoyed these two characters, and I love everything that they do with these two characters and how pivotal they are to the story. You know, so, and that's the characters, and then on top of that, man, I mean, just the humor in this movie is great. Like I said, Jack makes you laugh a ton. Dash has a couple laughs, even though they've been teased. They still get you to laugh out loud. You know, so the humor is really on point. The superhero stuff in this movie is beyond on point. Look, we live in a world where superhero movies with real live action are coming out all the time, and they do incredible jobs with their action sequences, especially Marvel. You know, they've set the bar so high for what we need to expect from an action sequence. Well, the Incredibles 2 just did that for the animation world. The superhero stuff in this movie is absolutely phenomenal. Elastigirl, can't say enough about her, but then also, like I said, the other thing I guess that could throw people is, like, we waited 14 years to see the family be superheroes, and we really only get to follow Elastigirl for a large chunk of the movie. And I could see where that might irritate people. Like, oh, come on, I was waiting to see them work as a team. Well, guess what? We get it at the beginning in a big action scene, and we get it in the finale on the back end. And those two scenes are so freaking good and so impressive and fun to watch that it gives you everything you need out of getting to see the family work as a team. Plus, we get to see Frozone working with them even more than we've seen in the past. And those two scenes are home runs in such a big way that even if you had an issue with the fact that Bob was going to be out of his suit most of the movie, as are Violet, Jack, and Dash, if you had an issue with that, those two scenes should suffice. For me, I have no issue. I love where they go with that, and that family part of the story is great while Elastigirl is having her fun. But the action sequences, just across the board, are spectacular. They're on par with live-action superhero movies, and that is awesome. I also said, like I mentioned, we did have 3 standouts from the new superheroes in Void, Crushhauer, and Helatrix. You know, Helatrix and Crushhauer are really fun, and I like what their skill sets are and what they bring when they are on screen. But Void is the one that gets the most play, and I like her character, right? She has the ability, it's kind of like Blink, to, you know, open up portals that can make things move. So, like, if I'm running and she opens up a portal in front of me and opens up a second portal behind me, I just would run it in a loop. And that stuff works really well. The sequence with Void in the finale is wonderful. How her and Elastigirl play with each other. It works really well. Would have just been nicer to see you know, a more diverse character put in for that moment. But like I said, all the super stuff in this movie is great. The action, all the superhero things, man, I just can't say enough good things about this movie, man. I really was so happy with Brad Bird. You know, just did a fantastic job. You know, you had a big task to bring us back to a place that we were 14 years ago and have us be as enthused and as excited about it as we are. Now just don't make us wait another 14 years for another Incredibles movie. I mean, if we can pump out Marvel movies 3 a year, we shouldn't have to wait 14 for Incredibles 3. Greenlight it right now. Get Brad Bird working on it. Make it happen. We need it. And this time, give us that movie where we get to see everyone in The Incredibles pull and carrying the whole movie as supers. I would love that. You know, they're legal again, so they can be out in public and out in the forefront, and I would love to see that. I'd even like to see them age everybody a little bit. You know, get Jack more to, like, that toddler stage, and maybe Violet toward college. I don't know. There's so many places they could go. Make 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 incredible movies, man. Make them like you make Marvel movies. These are so good. Oh, God, I love it so much. Just keep them coming, man. Don't make me wait long for another Incredibles movie. If this is the quality that you're going to keep giving me and you're going to meet that bar over and over again, you can give me all the incredible movies you want. This cast, this team, everybody's fantastic. Whew! I am exhausted. Man, I have given you everything I can give you without spoiling things in the movie. So I am done talking. It's now your turn. Please hit those comments below. Tell me how excited you are to go see this movie if you haven't seen it. If you have, how much did you love it? Without spoiling, what were some of your favorite moments, your things from the movie? Hit those comments. Let me know. If I'm a crazy person and you hated this movie, let me know that too. I want to know what else, you know, what could really be wrong with this flick. I don't think anyone should have an issue. Everyone should have a good time. But if you disagree, please hit those comments too and let me know why. I love to hear from you guys, and I love interacting with everybody. And as always, if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. I love those. And as always, if you're new here, please hit that subscribe button and the little bell so you get alerts every time I make a new video. Woo! Made it to the end, folks, for the Seaman Cinema Sit-Down and my review of Incredibles 2. Oh, such a long wait. So glad it's finally here. Can't wait to go see it again and again and again. I, of course, am the Seaman. So, for the Cinema Sit-Down, I am the Seaman. Whew, man, man, this movie got me so excited, I forgot how to sign off. Let's try it again. Take two. For the Seaman Cinema Sit-Down, I am the Seaman, and I am signing off. Peace!